Today we're going to be breaking down a story about an amazing techpreneur, someone who's transforming the livelihoods of a lot of people in Africa by the use of innovation and technology and free energy.
Zimbabwean inventor Maxwell Chikumbutso says happened to him after he developed a self-powering car. Yes, a car that runs without fuel, petrol, gas, or even a charging station.
Africa has just shaken the world with a jaw-dropping innovation, a $4,999 self-powered car that needs no fuel or charging. Built by Zimbabwean inventor Maxwell Chikumbutso.
As you know, Foster, what we have invented in Zimbabwe, it is called a Microsonic energy device.
This groundbreaking vehicle runs solely on radio waves, offering unlimited driving range and even doubling as a power source for your home. This revolutionary car is already causing ripples, leaving global giants like China and the US stunned. Could this be the future of energy and transportation? The game has officially changed. The inventor behind the innovation. Maxwell Chikumbutso is the brilliant mind behind the biggest energy breakthrough Africa has ever seen. Born in Harare, Zimbabwe, he had to leave school at a young age because of money problems, but that did not stop him from dreaming big. With a deep love for science, he taught himself how to build things from old parts and scraps, following visions he believed were from a higher source. His inventions include a self-powered television, a green power machine, and now, the world's first car that runs on radio waves. While many can only dream of creating such wondrous items, Maxwell did it through sheer hard work, faith, and an unshakable belief in his abilities. He has faced many challenges along the way. Some people did not believe in his ideas, and he even survived attempts on his life. Instead of giving up, he focused on moving his research forward, helped by the support of his country's leaders. Today, people from around the globe are watching in awe as he challenges accepted science and offers a fresh path to clean power. Maxwell's journey shows that it does not matter where you start in life. What matters is your passion, determination, and courage to shape a new future. He is more than just an inventor. He is living proof that hope, grit, and vision can conquer all odds. Through his path, he reminds us that true innovation is born from an unstoppable and bold desire to solve real problems creatively. Groundbreaking technology. Maxwell Chikumbutso's Microsonic energy stands as a true game-changer in the energy world. Instead of relying on heavy batteries or fuel, his invention pulls power from radio waves that constantly fill the air around us.
A brief trip into the future with inventor Maxwell Chikumbutso. He's claiming a scientific breakthrough with this green energy technology, an electric car which he says converts radio frequencies into energy.
One of its biggest advantages is that it can be used in many forms, from cars and motorcycles to home appliances. With this miracle technology, vehicles never need to stop for a charge. They can run endlessly on energy that most of us do not even realize is out there. How does it work? The device gathers these stray signals, then converts them into direct current electricity. Think of it as a hidden force that is always near, waiting to be used. Before now, experts said it was almost impossible to harness enough energy from radio waves to power large machines. Yet Maxwell's creation challenges that belief by showing that a shift in our approach can unlock clean and unlimited power. Even skeptics are taking a closer look, trying to figure out how he made it work. Beyond vehicles, this technology promises to change how we think about household energy. Imagine never having to worry about the power going out, because your own walls are harvesting radio waves. With each successful demonstration, Microsonic energy stirs both excitement and debate. It may still need to pass detailed tests, but one thing is certain: big changes in the way we power our world are now on the horizon, ready to emerge soon. Unlimited driving range. Unlimited driving range is a feature that sets this self-powered car far apart from electric vehicles like Tesla and regular gasoline cars. With those options, a driver always has to worry about running out of power or fuel. Trips require planning, especially when charging stations or gas stations are in short supply. But this groundbreaking invention removes the worry. Thanks to Microsonic energy technology, your car keeps going as long as you do, crushing the dreaded range anxiety once and for all. Imagine heading on a road trip without worrying about where to stop for fuel or how long you must charge. This car runs on radio waves that surround us, converting them into usable power.
When Zimbabwean innovator and inventor Maxwell Chikumbutso paid a courtesy call showcasing his latest invention of the world's first self-powering vehicles and motorbikes that run just on radio waves.
That means as long as signals exist, you can keep driving. It is like drawing water from a never-ending river. No more visits to the pump or scanning for a charging station. Travel becomes simpler, cheaper, and free of stress. Long journeys become a breeze now. Many question whether such a system can truly power endless miles. Yet early tests suggest exciting results. The simple fact remains, if radio signals are present, the car should never run out of juice. By conquering range anxiety, this technology could spark a life-changing shift for drivers worldwide. It might even stand as the key to a cleaner, more efficient future, free from the limits of conventional driving. Best of all, it promises to cut costs, letting people explore without breaking the bank. Dual-purpose vehicle. Kai Scythe is not just an ordinary car, it's a dual-purpose marvel that can transform daily life. Typically, vehicles serve only one role, transporting people from one place to another. But the Kai Scythe stands out with its special ability to power a home. By generating up to 15 kilowatts of electricity, this car can light up houses, run appliances, and keep devices charged during emergencies. It's like having a generator on wheels, always ready whenever the power grid fails, or you find yourself stranded somewhere unexpected. This feature can remove worries about blackouts, especially in areas with unstable electricity service. Kai Scythe is made possible by Maxwell Chikumbutso's Microsonic energy technology, converting the radio waves around us into electricity. That power can be directed back to the vehicle's battery system or supplied directly to your house or campsite. This dual role makes it more than a car. It's a safety net and a practical tool for everyday living. Whether you are camping in the wilderness or stuck in familiar city traffic, you have a reliable energy source within reach. The potential to replace bulky, fuel-hungry generators is huge for both home and business use. And imagine the cost savings when you no longer need to buy or carry extra fuel. This forward-thinking approach to vehicle design might spark a new trend in automobiles around the world. By combining mobility with energy production, the Kai Scythe challenges us to think bigger about what cars can do. Affordable price. At first glance, a brand new car priced at just $4,999 may sound too good to be true. But that's exactly what buyers get with this self-powered vehicle. In today's world, where even used cars often sell for thousands more, this bargain price stands out. It means many people, including families and small businesses, can now get a brand new vehicle without going into heavy debt. What's more, the low cost does not mean low quality. This car comes with advanced technology that runs on radio waves, so there's no need to pay for gas or charging. With fewer moving parts, maintenance costs are also lower over time. Taken together, these factors make it an incredibly affordable option compared to traditional vehicles. Drivers can invest the money they save into other priorities, like education, home improvements, or even a new business venture. The manufacturer, inspired by a mission to make transportation affordable, has worked hard to keep production costs down. They also aim to make these cars widely available, so more people can enjoy the benefits of clean, limitless energy. Because the car powers itself, owners can also save money on household electricity bills. Instead of buying or renting bulky generators, you can simply hook it up in an emergency and tap into its electricity generating capacity. For many, this $4,999 vehicle may turn out to be the ultimate game changer.
Believes Zimbabweans are capable of spearheading game-changing, first-of-a-kind innovations that challenge the world's traditional ways of doing things,
offering both cost-effectiveness and groundbreaking innovation. This car redefines budget-friendly transport, truly bringing comfort and sustainability to all. Collaborative development. Collaborative development often leads to the fastest breakthroughs. This approach means experts from different fields team up, share ideas, and help one another solve complex problems. In the case of Africa's new self-powered car, a cross-functional team of engineers, designers, and entrepreneurs worked hand in hand, each bringing unique skills. The synergy between these global and local talents allowed them to see new angles and address challenges quickly. Instead of doing everything in isolation, they sat together to brainstorm, refine solutions, and test prototypes. This open exchange of knowledge not only saved resources, but also led to more creative solutions that might not have surfaced otherwise. At the heart of collaborative development is trust and shared goals. Each partner knows they have a stake in the process, so they are all motivated to give their best. By dividing tasks according to individual strengths, they can accomplish far more than any lone inventor would. These group efforts also build strong relationships, encouraging ongoing support and mentorship. As a result, people gain new skills and develop greater respect for their peers. More minds at work mean more perspectives, which can spark fresh ideas. Together, they stand a better chance of success, even in crowded markets. It's a clear sign that the future belongs to cooperation, and projects like the self-powered car show the value of combining resources. In the end, everyone benefits, from the development team to the average consumer. Their success proves the power of unity, national and global impact. Technological breakthroughs that solve real problems can change both nations and the world at large. When a new self-powered car is born in Africa, for example, it does more than just provide a cutting-edge ride. It sparks growth in local industries. Engineers, designers, and factory workers all gain job opportunities, leading to stronger neighborhoods and improved living conditions. With more people earning a solid income, communities can invest in better education, clean water, and other important services. In turn, this helps drive a healthier society, boosting national pride and unity. Beyond the country's borders, the ripple effects spread far. Other nations may adopt this car's design or build new systems around its ideas, creating a wave of technology sharing across continents. Such global cooperation can lead to improvements in energy production and make cars more affordable for everyone. By showcasing locally made inventions, Africa can now stand out on the global stage, claiming its place as a major source of progress, rather than a simple buyer of foreign products. Environmentally, wider use of this car would cut back on harmful emissions and reduce dependence on fossil fuels. That benefits the whole planet, as cleaner air does not stop at any country line. Nations everywhere can save money on energy, while also encouraging research in even cleaner transport and power generation. Step by step, a single invention can build bridges between cultures, reshape economies, and bring a greener future for all. Skepticism from the scientific community. Skepticism is natural in the scientific community, especially when an invention claims to break known rules or solve big problems with ease. That is exactly the case with Maxwell Chikumbutso's self-powered vehicle, which runs on radio waves and seems to produce endless energy.
He has been able to achieve so much success by creating technology using radio frequency.
Many scientists question how such a device could exist. They ask for data, test results, and a clear explanation of how these waves are converted into electricity. Traditional physics suggests that collecting enough energy this way might not be possible with current methods. Because hard scientific evidence and peer-reviewed papers are limited, doubt grows even among open-minded experts. Nevertheless, the inventor's followers insist the results speak for themselves. They point to videos of the car in action and testimonies from people who claim to have seen it work. Fans say that new discoveries often start with ideas that sound impossible. They feel it is just a matter of time before more proof emerges to support these claims. Yet many researchers want official demonstrations and detailed technical documents before they believe this invention can indeed challenge established norms. In a field driven by evidence, the inventor's ability to calm these fears will be key. Once rigorous tests are carried out in controlled conditions, opinions may shift, and skepticism might give way to respect. If successful, such a breakthrough would shake up the world, reminding us that science thrives on open-minded curiosity and well-tested facts. The debate continues, awaiting stronger proof from all sides. Overcoming adversity. Overcoming adversity often starts with a bold idea that seems out of reach or even impossible. Maxwell Chikumbutso grew up in a small community with limited resources, yet he dreamed of changing the world. Though many doubted his vision for a self-powered vehicle, Maxwell pressed on, testing new approaches each day. Critics said his plan went against accepted science, but he took their words as fuel, pushing him to improve his design. Even when money was tight and morale slipped, he refused to give up. Instead, he tapped into his natural creativity, searching for fresh methods to collect and use energy. Each setback reminded him of why he started, to make a difference and prove that big breakthroughs can happen anywhere. Over time, small victories built upon each other. He found local supporters who believed in his dream and wanted to help. These everyday people gave their time and skills, forming a tight-knit team that refused to settle for failure. Step by step, Maxwell's idea turned into a functioning prototype. Through grit and determination, he showed that a person's background does not define their future. Adversity became his teacher, shaping him into a more resilient engineer and leader. Potential global disruption. The widespread adoption of a self-powered car could lead to a massive shift in how people travel and how nations manage their energy supplies. If cars no longer need gas or electric charging stations, oil companies and utilities might see reduced demand. This change could cause oil-producing countries to rethink their whole economy, as they rely heavily on selling fuel to the rest of the world. Such a shakeup in the energy market would send ripples across many industries, from shipping to car insurance, all looking for ways to adapt. At the same time, households could save money by sourcing power straight from their cars, easing the financial burden on families everywhere. People could also enjoy more freedom to travel, knowing they will not run out of power. This newfound independence might encourage further innovation, like cars that can operate in remote regions without any external energy source. Of course, with change comes new challenges. Traditional engine manufacturers might need to rethink their designs or risk losing customers. Infrastructure built for gasoline and electric charging may need to be upgraded or replaced. Governments could face a complex task, deciding whether to support, compete, or regulate this emerging technology.
There is a breakthrough in a feud that has been intensifying between Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan. The dispute is around a giant hydroelectric dam. Now, Ethiopia is building on the Nile River.
The world's longest river, the Nile, is at the center of a diplomatic war. 3 countries are locked in this battle: Ethiopia, the Sudan, and Egypt. Now, Ethiopia has built a dam on the Nile. It is Africa's largest dam.
Egypt and Ethiopia are locked in a long-standing dispute over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Project, a $5 billion mega-dam constructed on the Nile River.
Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, Ethiopia. Located on the Blue Nile, the dam is an extraordinary hydropower project for the future of Ethiopia.
Tensions have been high between the two countries for decades, but things got worse when Ethiopia began the final filling of the dam, and there are fears that things are escalating into a full-blown regional war. World leaders are now scrambling for peaceful negotiations. What is the Grand Renaissance Dam, and why has it left the world so alarmed? Join us as we uncover shocking developments on the most controversial infrastructure project in Africa: construction and design of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is a massive hydroelectric power plant located on the Nile River in Ethiopia. Situated near the country's border with Sudan, the dam's primary purpose is to generate electricity and alleviate Ethiopia's energy crisis. With a planned capacity of 5.15 gigawatts, the dam is poised to become the largest hydroelectric power station in Africa and one of the top 20 in the world.
This is the Blue Nile and the dam that Ethiopia has built across it. It has the potential to give millions of people electricity, to transform the country.
Construction of the dam began in 2011 and concluded in 2023. But the history of the dam is not that simple. It all started in the 1950s. The current location for the Renaissance Dam was identified by the United States Bureau of Reclamation in a survey conducted between 1956 and 1964. However, Due to political instability in Ethiopia,
conflict between the government and Tigray rebels is escalating.
A civil war fueled by ethnic divisions has been going on for a year. The front lines keep shifting, and there's even been talk that the fighting could reach the capital, Addis Ababa.
Including a coup d'etat in 1974 and a war with Somalia, the project was delayed for several decades. In 2009 and 2010, the Ethiopian government reassessed the site, and in 2010, a dam design was submitted by James Kelston. The construction of the dam was officially announced in March 2011, and shortly after, a $4.8 billion contract was awarded to the Italian company Salini Imprigilo without a competitive bidding process. Construction began in April 2011 with the laying of the foundation stone by Prime Minister Meles Zenawi. The project included the construction of a rock-crushing plant and a small airstrip for transportation. It was anticipated that the first 2 power-generating turbines would be operational within 44 months, or by early 2015. As promising as the project seems for the region, Egypt has vehemently opposed it, and one of the reasons for this is geography. Egypt is located downstream of the dam, and it fears that the operation of the dam will reduce the water available from the Nile River.
Egypt has long been called the gift of the Nile. Without the Nile River, Egypt might not exist. But now the Nile River in Egypt is under threat. Extreme heat, rising sea levels, and a major dam project is putting a strain on the river and the people who depend on it for survival.
However, the Ethiopian government maintains that the dam will not affect water availability and will even help regulate irrigation in the farming regions of Egypt. There is a lot more interesting revelations to come on this, but before we reveal that, let's examine the dam design up close. Originally known as Project X, the dam was renamed the Millennium Dam after its contract was announced. It was later renamed again to the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The cost of the dam is around $5 billion, representing approximately 7% of Ethiopia's 2016 gross national product. This is not a project the Ethiopians could finance alone. Unfortunately, Egypt's efforts to maintain control over Nile water sharing have hindered their ability to secure international financing. Consequently, Ethiopia has been forced to rely on domestic funding, including crowdsourcing through bond sales and employee contributions. That is not all.
The Ethiopia government has raised $1 billion in its first ever Eurobond sale.
A portion of the total cost, specifically $1 billion for turbines and electrical equipment, was financed by the Exim Bank of China. The design of the dam has undergone several changes since construction began in 2011. These modifications have impacted both the electrical and water storage capacity of the project. Initially, the dam was planned to have 15 generating units with a capacity of 350 MW each, resulting in a total installed capacity of 5,250 MW. However, the planned capacity was later increased to 6,000 MW and then again to 6,450 MW. These changes were achieved by increasing the number of generating units and upgrading the capacity of some existing units. Despite these modifications, the current power generation capacity of the dam is 5,150 MW, with 13 turbines in operation. This is lower than the originally planned 16 turbines. Not only have the electrical parameters been adjusted, the water holding capacity has also evolved over time. Initially designed to be 145 meters tall with a reservoir capacity of 66 cubic kilometers, the dam's specifications were adjusted in 2013, following an assessment by an independent panel of experts. The changes included an increase in the reservoir's surface area and storage capacity. The GERD's final storage capacity is now 74 cubic kilometers, which is nearly equivalent to the annual flow of the Nile River. These storage parameters have remained unchanged since the 2013 assessment. Earlier this year, construction on the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam was nearing completion.
Ethiopia's $4.8 billion Grand Renaissance Dam is nearing completion. It is the largest in Africa and Ethiopia's flagship project,
reaching 95% overall and with 98.9% of the civil works finished. The dam's hydroelectric capacity at that time was 540 megawatts. with plans to eventually reach 5,150 megawatts. The reservoir held 42 billion cubic meters of water, with the goal of reaching 74 billion cubic meters upon completion. In July, the fifth filling of the reservoir began, aiming to be completed by September. The reservoir was expected to hold 64 billion cubic meters of water, with water levels reaching approximately 640 meters. As beneficial as the dam project sounds, it has been a focal point of dispute among 3 African nations. Why is the project so controversial? Controversies on the dam project. The dam will primarily benefit Ethiopia by providing hydroelectric power. According to government sources, the generated electricity will be used to support the development of both rural and urban areas throughout the country, serving as a stabilizing force for Ethiopia's national grid. But there is more. Any surplus electricity produced by the GERD will be exported to neighboring countries, including Sudan, Egypt, and Djibouti. However, exports will only occur if there is excess energy in Ethiopia, which is expected to happen during rainy seasons. To facilitate exports, Ethiopia will need to construct extensive transmission lines to major consumption centers, such as Sudan's capital, Khartoum. In addition to the GERD, Ethiopia has other hydropower plants, such as Gilgil-Gib III and Koisha, that are also expected to generate surplus electricity for export, primarily to Kenya.
Ethiopia's Prime Minister has just commissioned a new dam expected to double the country's power output. The Gibe 3, Africa's third largest dam, cost the East African nation 1.5 billion euros.
Aside from that, the reservoir created by the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is expected to be 2 to 3 times larger than Lake Tana. The dam will also generate significant benefits for fisheries, with an estimated annual harvest of up to 7,000 tons of fish. Additionally, the reservoir may become a popular tourist destination. Sudan also hopes that the GERD would help reduce flooding. Despite the potential benefits, Egypt has been a focal opponent of the project and has even threatened to launch airstrikes on the dam. Due to concerns about the Egyptian threats, the Ethiopian government has purchased air defense systems from Russia and Israel to protect the dam. These systems include the Panzer S-1 from Russia and the Spider Emsar from Israel. Egypt has opposed the sale of the Israeli air defense system to Ethiopia, but has been unsuccessful in preventing it. The reason why Egypt has threatened to destroy the most important infrastructural project of its neighbor is not what you think. We are about to make important revelations. Keep watching to find out. The Nile River gets about 85% of its water from Ethiopia, which has maintained that it has the right to use these resources for its own development. Ethiopia views the Nile as a natural resource given to its people for their benefit.
In the northeast of Africa, the waters of the Nile irrigate crops that feed millions of people. The White Nile flows from Uganda through South Sudan and into Sudan, and the Blue Nile from Ethiopia into Sudan. And in the capital Khartoum, they converge and the world's longest river heads to Egypt.
On the other hand, Egypt relies heavily on the Nile for its water supply, and has argued that the Ethiopian dam poses a threat to its water security and the very existence of its population. When Ethiopia finally decided to start building the dam in 2011, tensions reached a boiling point further with both Egypt and Sudan, both of which rely on the Nile River. Despite Egypt's attempts to prevent construction, Ethiopia proceeded with the project. Egypt then suggested that Ethiopia enter negotiations for a legally binding agreement on the filling and operation of the dam. Unfortunately, the bilateral negotiations failed. Despite resistance from Egypt, Ethiopia began to fill the reservoir in 2020, 2021, and 2022. Surprisingly, there is an existing international agreement on the right to use the Nile River, which were established by the 1929 Anglo-Egyptian Treaty and the 1959 Nile Treaty. The problem with the existing covenant is that it only considers Egypt and Sudan, leaving out Ethiopia as a beneficiary state of the Nile water. Based on an estimated annual flow of 84 billion cubic meters, the 1929 Anglo-Egyptian Treaty and the 1959 Nile Treaty allocated 66% of the Nile's water to Egypt, 22% to Sudan, and 12% to account for losses due to seepage and evaporation. This allocation completely shared the Nile's average annual flow and granted Egypt veto power over construction projects on the Nile and its tributaries. Here is another way to look at things. The treaty suggests that Ethiopia and other countries have no right to construct infrastructure over the Nile. It also suggests that only Egypt and Sudan has the right to the Nile's water. These historical water rights, known as Egypt's and Sudan's acquired rights, have been a major obstacle in negotiations for a comprehensive treaty on Nile water allocation among all 11 Nile riparian states, as well as in the discussions between Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan regarding the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. While Ethiopia and other upstream countries view these treaties as outdated colonial relics, Egypt and Sudan insist that they remain legally binding. If Egypt and Sudan were to agree to abandon the historical water rights granted by the 1929 and 1959 treaties, it would open the door for negotiations with Ethiopia to establish a new treaty that benefits all three countries. Such a treaty could encourage all 11 Nile Basin states to revisit the Cooperative Framework Agreement, a legal framework for governing the Nile based on equitable and reasonable water use. This agreement has been stalled due to opposition from Egypt and Sudan. The other Nile Basin states view the 1929 and 1959 treaties as violations of international law and inconsistent with the goals of the Nile Basin Initiative. If you think that is all the controversy on the Nile water usage, then prepare for a big shock, because it is just the beginning. We are about to reveal another conflicting claims over the Nile water rights. Keep watching. Egypt is concerned that if Ethiopia is allowed to fill the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam without a legally binding agreement, other Nile Basin states may also take unilateral actions on the Nile. For instance, another upstream nation may decide to build a new dam in the future without considering the rights of other downstream nations. This could jeopardize Egypt's water security and its ability to control projects on the Nile River, which it has enjoyed for centuries unopposed. Additionally, the existence of the dam raises concerns about how to address climate change-related issues, such as droughts and floods. Ethiopia's cooperation will be essential in managing these challenges. For example, during droughts, Ethiopia may be expected to release water from the dam to assist Egypt and Sudan. Ethiopia's agricultural and household water rights have been a contentious issue among the three countries. Egypt and Sudan express concerns about potential negative downstream impacts from Ethiopia's dam construction. Egypt remains steadfast in its belief that the dam will compromise its water supply and hinder domestic development. However, Sudanese officials have seemingly revised their stance on the dam's potential effects. They now perceive it as a potential regulator of seasonal floods and a source of clean energy. To address these complex issues, the three countries must establish a mutually agreeable treaty during the future negotiations. But something threatens the chances for negotiations. The Egyptians seem to be prepared for a regional war over the dam dispute, as they see it as a threat to their existence.
Around 90% of Egypt's annual consumption of water comes directly from the Nile. So any disruption to that water source, that primary water source to Egypt, is very problematic.
We are about to reveal the stunning details of Egyptian war preparations. Keep watching to find out. Military threats over the Renaissance Dam. We mentioned earlier that Ethiopia is planning to complete the filling of the dam this year. As the dam nears completion, regional tensions continue to escalate. Despite several diplomatic efforts, including technical expert panels and high-level religious visits, Ethiopia remains steadfast in its decision to fill the dam, regardless of reaching an agreement with Egypt and Sudan. Not only have the Egyptians threatened military action, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali issued a stern warning that his country was prepared to mobilize millions of soldiers to protect the dam. A few months later, Ethiopia's then Deputy Army Chief, General Birhanu Jula, added that both Egypt and the international community were well aware of Ethiopia's capacity for war. Egypt's significant contributions to the African Union's peace and security architecture align with its broader strategy of enhancing its geopolitical influence through peace building. However, the dam dispute has prompted Egypt to adopt a more assertive military posture in the Horn of Africa, reflecting its direct geopolitical rivalry with Ethiopia. In response to these escalating tensions, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed recently emphasized his country's unwavering commitment to its sovereignty and dignity. He also issued warnings against any threats to Ethiopia, vowing to humiliate those who dare to challenge it.
Some 9 months ago, the situation in Ethiopia, as you have stated, was very bad.
According to Ethiopian news outlets, 2 Israeli defense companies, Israeli Aerospace Industries and Rafael, deployed Spider-MR missile defense systems near the dam since 2019. These systems, equipped with ELTA radar, are capable of intercepting low and medium-altitude aircraft, unmanned aerial vehicles, cruise missiles, and precision-guided munitions within their range. While observers generally agree that a military conflict between Egypt and Ethiopia is unlikely in the near term, Egypt views the Ethiopian dam as a significant existential threat. 2 weeks ago, Egypt sent a letter to the UN Security Council, expressing concerns about Ethiopia's actions and urging a resumption of internationally mediated negotiations. There is little hope for peaceful negotiations in the meantime, because another conflict is brewing between Ethiopia, Egypt, and Somalia. Just as the dam controversy was boiling over, a recent agreement between Ethiopia and Somaliland, a breakaway region of Somalia, has further exacerbated regional tensions. Being a landlocked nation, Ethiopia seeks to expand its exports by gaining access to the Red Sea and international shipping routes. International relations expert Hagar Ali emphasized the strategic importance of the Red Sea for Ethiopia, stating that access to coastlines is crucial for projecting military power beyond one's borders and establishing oneself as a geopolitical broker. These tensions escalated earlier this year when Somaliland agreed to lease 20 kilometers of its coastline to Ethiopia for 50 years, in exchange for Ethiopia's formal recognition of Somaliland's independence. While Ethiopia has yet to officially confirm this agreement, the Memorandum of Understanding has drawn sharp criticism from the Somali central government, which views Somaliland as an integral part of Somalia. Samira Gaid, a security analyst and advisor to the Somali government, conveyed a clear message to Ethiopia. Either withdraw the Memorandum of Understanding or face the withdrawal of Ethiopian troops from Somalia. Ethiopia currently maintains a significant military presence in Somalia, with up to 10,000 troops deployed based on bilateral agreements, and as part of a UN-supported African Union stabilization mission. If Ethiopia were to withdraw from its current military presence in Somalia, it will be replaced by an Egyptian contingent that would likely outnumber current Ethiopian troops. Egypt's recent agreement with Somalia also suggests a growing alignment between the two countries.
Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi met with Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud in Cairo on Wednesday to discuss countering terrorism and Somalia's security,
both in bilateral relations and through a new African Union-led mission. According to 2 diplomats and a senior Somali official, 2 Egyptian military aircraft carrying arms and ammunition landed at Mogadishu a few days ago. But the Ethiopian public are not hungry for war. Suzanne Stockreiter, head of the Ethiopia office of the German Friedrich Ebert Foundation, noted a decline in Ethiopian public interest in the Renaissance Dam project. Despite initial hopes that 60% of the population would gain access to the electricity grid, the state-run electricity operator has prioritized exports instead. Experts remain skeptical about Ethiopia's willingness to escalate the conflict further, despite Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's aggressive rhetoric. With Egypt and Ethiopia's recent membership in BRICS, a prominent intergovernmental organization, both countries must seek alternative approaches to resolving their disputes. We must also mention the growing influence of Turkey in the region. Analysts believe that Turkey, as a mediator, can facilitate a resolution between these neighboring adversaries.
Now, mediator Turkey has been facilitating indirect talks between Ethiopia and Somalia to try to resolve the dispute.
Turkey has recently strengthened its ties with Egypt, established a security agreement with Somalia, and provided Ethiopia with drones to combat forces from the Tigray region. Furthermore, Somalia has indicated that it does not inherently oppose Ethiopia's access to the sea. Stability in Somalia and the Horn of Africa is a crucial concern for many regional and global actors due to the presence of terrorist groups like Al-Shabaab and the Islamic State. As a result, a peaceful resolution to the conflict is likely to be achieved eventually. Let us hope the region does not explode in a full-blown regional war, but what about a climate disaster? Experts have differing views of the climatic impact of the Renaissance Dam project. Environmental impacts of the Ethiopian Renaissance Dam project. Due to the Nile's seasonal nature, environmental experts agree that the dam would reduce flooding downstream, including within Ethiopia. While this reduction can protect settlements from flood damage, it may negatively impact flood recession agriculture practiced in the river valley. The Rosaire Dam, which is located a short distance downstream in Sudan, could also help regulate water levels. Additionally, the dam could serve as a bridge, complementing an existing bridge under construction upstream. An independent assessment estimates that the reservoir and downstream areas will require the resettlement of at least 5,110 people. But on the negative, the dam is expected to significantly alter the fish ecology. According to an Ethiopian government source, there is a comprehensive plan for the resettlement of affected individuals. Those who have already been relocated received adequate monetary compensation, while others refused to leave. Most locals interviewed by international media expressed optimism about the potential benefits of the project, including improved education, health services, and electricity supply. Some of the new resettlement communities will be located downstream of the dam. A 5-kilometer buffer zone will be established around the reservoir for malaria control, prohibiting settlement. Additionally, erosion control measures will be implemented in certain upstream areas to reduce siltation in the reservoir. The exact impact of the dam on downstream countries remains uncertain, although Egypt has expressed concerns about a temporary decline in water availability during reservoir filling and a permanent reduction due to evaporation. Studies suggest that the three countries must work together to minimize or eliminate negative consequences of the project. The reservoir volume of the dam, at 74 cubic kilometers, is approximately 1.5 times the average annual flow of the Blue Nile at the Egypt-Sudan border. If the countries reach an agreement, this loss to downstream countries could be distributed over several years. The fillings of the dam have temporarily reduced flows into Egypt, and experts expect this to affect the livelihoods of 2 million farmers. Additionally, Egypt's electricity supply was reduced by 25 to 40% during the dam's construction. However, hydropower accounted for less than 12% of Egypt's total electricity production in 2010, so a 25% reduction in hydropower production would have resulted in an overall temporary reduction of less than 3% in Egypt's electricity production.
New electricity mega projects in the country. Now, Egypt aims to be self-sufficient in electricity production by expanding on renewable energy.
President Joe Biden recently warned that the United States is committed to protecting Egypt's water supply. This shows that the whole world is interested in the developments around the dam. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has invited delegations from around the world to gain international support. This backfired when he invited a group from South Africa, including government and quasi-government officials, to Addis Ababa. Among them were former members of the Track Boys, a South African political group accused of supporting and funding rebel factions across Africa. According to media reports, the Track Boys were facilitating back-channel discussions with officials in Khartoum and Cairo on behalf of Ethiopia. This came to light when the Wagner Group, a Russian private security firm operating in Sudan, mistakenly attacked a Track Boy delegation, believing them to be illegal gold smugglers. The Wagner Group's presence in Africa has been widely condemned by South African officials and other African leaders, while many have praised the Track Boys' efforts to facilitate peaceful negotiations aimed at ending hostilities across the continent. Thank you for staying with us. Do you think this will explode into a full-blown regional war? And how should Ethiopia resolve the water disputes with its neighbors? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, click the following video on your screen and you will enjoy it.